In life's journey, we must seek to reflect, learn, and grow. Welcome to the Road to Rediscovery with your host, Aubrey Johnson.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to yet another exciting episode of the Road to Rediscovery. I'm your host, Aubrey Johnson. The Road to Rediscovery is about reflecting on life lessons to learn and grow from them and to take it to the next level and help others who are struggling and going through dark times. My special guest is the founder of A Step Ahead Tutoring Services, a company that provides the service of tutoring underprivileged children. And as with just all the other businesses, the pandemic has tremendously impacted hers, causing her to pivot and be creative about continuing her level of quality of service. Now, this is particularly challenging for my guest because keep in mind, her company services families who are already underprivileged in the midst of a pandemic that's already causing enormous financial strain on families and businesses. She's here to share her challenges, how she overcame them, and the great work she's doing for the children. Let's welcome Gabrielle Crichlow to the show. Hi, Gabrielle. How you doing?
Hi,
Welcome.
I'm good. How are you?
Doing fantastic. We are so thrilled to have you on the show. And just to set the stage a little bit, can you share with the listeners, like where you're from and a little bit of your upbringing?
Sure. So I am from Brooklyn, New York.
Hmm.
I was actually born in Trinidad and Tobago.
Hmm.
I came to America when I was 3 years old. Been raised in New York ever since.
Wonderful, wonderful. All right, so I'm really intrigued. Excuse me, I'm really intrigued by your business, and I want to see if we can paint a picture for the listeners, the struggles and challenges you've had, and just to visualize the dynamic of the business as far as the presence that it has in different parts of the country and so forth. So before we get started in that, Gabrielle, can you share with us what was your driving passion or force that empowered you to move in this direction to create this type of business and offer what you offer?
Sure. So it all started in college. I
Hmm.
worked at a foster care agency
Hmm.
for my work study. I I was always like the brainy student in high school. So I
Hmm.
thought, I needed to make some quick money, and I had a work study grant, so I
Hmm.
had to spend it. So I saw this opportunity. It's like, oh, I could tutor. I can help the kids.
Hmm.
So I did that, and I really enjoyed that.
Hmm.
I discovered that it's more than just academic. Um, it's more than just academic. There's a emotional part. There's a social part. So there was just so much intertwined
Hmm.
with that kind of work, and I was always fascinated with that. So fast forward to graduate school, I worked for a couple of tutoring companies. I I did similar work, but this was more one-on-one tutoring where I went to the homes,
Hmm.
but those companies shut down. So, but some of the old clients reached out to me personally,
Yeah.
and I continued tutoring privately. Then I went to a small business seminar to present something else, and I heard one of the speakers talk about starting a business and how it
Hmm.
could benefit, how it can benefit you, how it can benefit, someone who started off as an immigrant.
Yes.
And I was inspired by that,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
I always wanted to own something and not have to work for other people,
Hmm. Hmm.
and then I was inspired by that, and I just thought, how cool would it be to hire people and create something and to
Right.
have something that I could call my own,
Hmm.
um and I just took the leap of faith, and here I am.
Ran with the ball.
Yes,
Oh, that is
absolutely.
that's awesome. That's beautiful, Gabrielle. You know, having that early experience in working for a couple other tutoring agencies and companies definitely position you. I mean, as well as your education, of course. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, but I mean, I'm sure. And let me ask you this: when you were working for those other companies, was there, at least in the back of your mind, a couple parts of the business as far as how they do things to where you're thinking, yeah, if I had my own business doing this, I would do that. That's a good practice. Or no, I would maybe have my own style or own flavor of how they do it, and that sort of thing. Was that already like processing in your mind, or was it not until you were introduced to the opportunity for immigrant advantages for business starting when it hit you?
Yeah, I think when I worked for those other companies, I was inspired by the model.
Hmm.
So the tutors going to the homes, the one-on-one sessions,
Hmm.
um, keeping, but we didn't really do the groups.
Hmm.
It was more one-on-one,
Okay.
and uh, we didn't get even I didn't even get into virtual. I think since COVID happened, that's when I switched to I pivoted more towards virtual, which I guess we'll talk about later. But now, um, but yeah, I just the way just the tutors doing the work
Hmm.
on their own, and me having more of a supervisory role, and
Hmm.
not really getting into the way the tutors do the work and all the administration and accounting. um, that definitely inspired the way that I run my business.
Yes.
And but how I and in those companies they provided free tutoring to those students. So what
Hmm.
I do is private pay. So
Hmm.
it's a little different. But I pretty much kept the same model
Okay.
as those companies.
Right.
But then COVID happened and I had to switch it up. Um,
Hmm.
so the way I think those experiences and what I went through with those companies and what I did privately, I use that
Hmm.
to create my business and design the structure and the way
Right.
that I wanted. Uh, what is different from what I did with those companies is it's me.
Hmm.
Like the tutors are interacting with me and the clients are interacting with me, as
Right.
opposed to when I worked for those companies. I mean, yeah, I had a manager, but there
Yeah.
were like five other managers.
Hmm.
Um, so with the tutors, they just interact with me, and the clients interact with me, so it's more personal.
Right.
And I live by my phone. I live by my email, so
Yeah.
I'm always accessible. So the way that I've structured it, it's more personable
Yeah.
as opposed to those other companies. It's more like you have those managers, and am I able to access the manager, when I
Right.
need it, as
Right.
opposed to, having someone like me that's very very technologically focused, and
Right.
I live with my smartphone. You can always
Hmm.
you can always reach me. So it's definitely when I when I created my company and created the design of it, I designed
Yes.
it to be more personable.
That's great. That's beautiful. And customers really appreciate that as well, right? Because they don't want to feel like, oh, they're just another client, or they just have another student, that they're giving you. They want to feel like, they matter. They want to feel like any concerns they have, academically, is being heard and being addressed. So I really commend you and really tip my hat to what you do, Gabrielle, because it's making a big difference for that community. Now, um, let's first talk pre-COVID. Okay, I would love to know and explain for the listeners, if you can, your at a high level, your not so much your business model, but your structure, like you said, with you and your tutors. Where were the tutors placed? How was the interaction between tutor and student or tutor and client? And pre-COVID, what did that structure look like for your business?
Right. So the I pretty much maintain the same structure now, but
Okay.
what I did was, so the a client would reach out to me and they say, I need a tutor. I have a fourth grader who needs help with math. And
Hmm.
then I would say like, uh, and then I would ask them to elaborate further, like what
Hmm.
concepts,
Hmm.
what's the like what specifically in math. For example, they may say they just need help with math, everything. They may be general, they may be specific. They'll say all these things, and
Right.
this is this is what the teacher is saying, and my child needs to help. And then I would take all that information. I would have the parent fill out an intake form, and then I would send that intake form to the tutor.
Hmm.
I would I cherry pick the tutors. So
Hmm. Hmm.
if I feel there's a particular if the profile of one tutor would match well with the student, then I would pick that particular tutor. And I would ask the tutor, this is the profile of the student. They would have
Hmm.
it. Do you want the student? So I give my tutor the choice of
Hmm.
whether they want to take on a student or not. They may say yes or no. If they
Hmm.
say yes, I say, great, go ahead. Or what I would do is I would set up I would set up, once the tutor says yes, I would schedule the initial session.
Right, right.
But what I've started doing maybe like a year before COVID hit
Hmm.
is I encouraged the tutor to make the initial, I call it a meet and greet. I encourage the tutors to do it. So if the tutor says yes, I say, great, please reach out to the parent for
Yes.
a preliminary meeting,
Yes.
talk
Proactive.
about, yeah, talk
Hmm.
about what their needs are and get to know the
Hmm.
student.
Hmm.
And then and you guys set up that first session, and then let me know when you do it, when it's set up, and then I would proceed to work out billing with the parent, and
Right.
then on they go. Now, since COVID,
Yes.
and most of the well, all of the sessions are virtual.
Hmm.
um I'm a little bit more proactive. So it's the same idea. They still reach out to me
Hmm.
and they tell me their profile. They fill out the intake form. I reach out to the tutor. This is the profile. Can you do it? Yes or no? Yes. Okay. Go ahead and set up the meet and greet. What
Right.
I do, because it's mostly virtual, I have the tutors communicate with me more. So I tell them to, when the session is over, tell me when it's over, tell me when the
Hmm.
meet and greet is over.
Hmm. Hmm.
You could text me, you could email me,
Hmm.
and because before, I think before I reached out to the parent. I don't remember how it
Hmm.
was that I knew it was done, but
Hmm.
now it's a lot more communication. So as soon as I tell the tutors, tell me when the session's over,
Right.
tell me this, tell me that. So it's a lot more communication
Right.
now. I communicate with the tutors a lot more, and then I specifically ask that, tell me when a specific session is over.
Yeah.
So before COVID, the tutors would, when they go to the homes, they would have a paper timesheet that they bring with them,
Hmm.
which
Hmm.
is something that I picked up from the companies that I worked with. Now, since
Hmm.
there is no in home and it's virtual, I there's a particular service that I use for the electronic timesheets,
Hmm.
uh, which I have to do manually for now. So that's why I tell the tutors, like, tell me when the session's over so I know to send you the timesheet. And
Gotcha.
then it's a little more proactivity I have to do because with the paper timesheet, it's in the parent's face, and I don't have to. It's on the
Yes.
tutor to get the parent to sign, and but now it's
Yes.
electronic, and I have to be the one to send it. So now I have to be the one to be on top of parents and get them to sign the sheet. So it's a lot more
Yeah.
proactivity, and
Mhm.
it's being on top of tutors, being on top of parents. I have to be on top
Right.
a lot more as opposed to in person. It kind of fell more on the tutor. Um, so I definitely have to step up my game a little bit more, and I had to be
Right.
more supervisory than than before
Sure.
COVID.
Sure.
And
Hmm.
but I mean, I've gotten used to it. So and
Yeah,
it's been
that's
going
great.
on for like 10 months now.
Oh,
So
wow.
that's
Yeah, for
kind of
sure.
how
Yeah.
I've pivoted.
Yeah, that's a great pivot. I mean, and you've keyed up or stepped up the communication. Now it seems like there's a lot more dialogue going on between you and the tutors, you and the parents, the students.
Yes.
They're sending information back to you, and you're verifying timesheets. You're actually facilitating the collaboration between the tutor and the student, and you have the profile to share with the tutor to say, hey, do you want to take this on? This is the profile of a potential student. This is what they need help in. Are you willing to do it? Yes or no? And then you manage that, it sounds like.
Yeah, so I pretty much took the structure of what I did pre-COVID and I brought it
Hmm.
into now with a few adjustments.
Gotcha. That makes a lot of sense. And so, excuse me, uh, can you give us like one or two examples of like uh, a, a problem or a challenge that, let's say, COVID introduced? I know we did the pivots with more communication and obviously a lot more follow up that you do now. But what were some of the problems that COVID brought on, that caused you to come up with these creative pivots and these creative changes? Because I'm thinking that um, uh, the 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 impact of COVID has like a domino effect or a snowball effect, right? When it comes to, let's just say, society in general. And an example that I would have, I guess, is COVID affects, let's see, people who have non-essential jobs, whoever calls or declares them non-essential, right? And so because they're declared non-essential, those people aren't working, and if they aren't working, then they don't have any income to buy products and services from businesses, and then that causes businesses to fail. And that's just not even including just the simple fact that we need to be healthy and stay safe at home, but that's kind of like a domino effect. Did you have anything like that that you had to deal with, or at least was faced with the onslaught of the pandemic?
Yeah, so we were only in home, and I thought about the idea of virtual tutoring,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
I thought, I'm used to in-home tutoring. That's what I did before, and
Hmm.
I'm just gonna stick it out with that. And I have no idea how online tutoring works. But then COVID happened, and in my state of New York, what like the governor determined what was essential and not
Right.
essential, and
Right.
my business was determined to be non-essential.
Mm.
unless it was done online.
Okay.
So I had to stop in home tutoring. I had to contact all my clients and say we have to stop the in home. And another thing that was a sudden change was I had to reach out to all of my tutors and I asked them, are you still open to doing it in person? And all of them said no.
Okay.
So that put a sudden stop in
Right.
production.
Right.
And then I had to reach out to the clients and say all of my tutors are virtual. Can you switch to virtual? And that was a sudden change as well for the clients, and some went with it, some didn't go with it. And it was a lot of communication and follow up, which is
Hmm.
how it got me to this point now.
Right.
And unfortunately, in the shuffle, as I lost a couple tutors
Mm.
due to them not being comfortable with the virtual,
Right. Right.
and and then I lost a couple of good loyal clients as well, which was unfortunate.
Hmm.
So definitely I experienced some loss,
Yeah.
and I had to because it had to be online. I kind of had to learn the online world myself, and
Mm.
so that I discovered Zoom
Hmm.
and Google Hangouts.
Hmm.
I had Skype. I didn't really use it, but I definitely discovered Zoom, and I was playing
Right.
around with it, and other people were talking about it, and I that opened up a whole bunch of opportunities. And
Yeah.
Zoom is amazing. So yeah, and I had to just make that first step, and I tutor
Yeah.
myself under my own company. So I had one of my clients, and they wanted tutoring again, and it had to be virtual. So I started there, and
Yeah.
I explored Zoom a little bit, and like, how do I do what I did before
Yeah.
online, and
Right.
being adaptable. And this is definitely a time for me to be adaptable. And so, uh, and I think unfortunately that's what's happening to a lot of businesses, and why they're closing is they may have
Hmm.
a structure that is not adaptable. And so being an online company, not having a storefront, just offering services,
Hmm.
I that allowed me to adapt. And so I had to force myself to do that, and force everyone to do it with me. So, or as many people as I could. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, and so uh, I started off with that one person, and
Hmm.
I got the hang of that. And when I was another person and then another person, this is me personally,
Hmm.
I started to get the hang of it. I'm like, oh, this isn't so bad, because a lot of this,
Right.
when I do my own sessions, I bring my laptop with me, and a lot of like practice and worksheets is on a computer.
Hmm.
Rarely is it in a workbook, and it was just doing the same thing and screen sharing. And I think what's difficult now is I used to have my own students try to write things out, and now it's like, how do I do it on Zoom? And if they don't
Hmm.
necessarily have a stylus or a digital pen, which is something that I had to get, because I was like, I used to write stuff out. I'm like, how do I write on a computer?
Yeah.
And it's hard with a mouse. And
Hmm.
I was like, is there a digital pen out there? And then I was, I'm in I asked I'm in a tutor Facebook group, and then I asked, and I had some recommendations, and I
Great.
got the pen. So definitely adapting to all these changes. So it's um, how I had to figure out, how do I take what I normally do and apply it to this new world. And my other tutors had to learn the same, had to
Hmm.
do the same thing. So
Very nice.
yeah.
Very nice. Okay. So, adapting and adaptability are sounds like some pretty big takeaways that you have learned about yourself as a business owner, as a leader, and in the capability and your capacity to adapt, as well as bringing on people to adapt to this new modality of delivering the services that you have. And I have to say, I am very impressed with your resilience in learning how to do this virtually as part of that pivot. And I know you're probably saying, "Well, Aubrey, duh, it's do or die. If I don't do it, then my business is gone." Well, be that as it may, it takes a lot of tenacity to stay the course, especially in this world of technology. Some businesses are pretty hard pressed to make that pivot and make
Hmm.
that change to the virtual space, and your business lends more flexibility because it does that, and in spite of the people who you lost, um, students and tutors, you kept moving. You kept moving
Yeah.
and striving forward and pressing forward. So I want to thank you for that, and I'm sure your current clients and students, they thank you for that as well, because here you are today, thriving and helping them. So I think that's just absolutely tremendous. So can we get into a little bit of the numbers now with a step
Okay.
ahead tutoring services? Like, can you share with us, like, what are the age ranges? How many tutors do you have? How many students, at a high level you have, and like any geographic locations, that you're really leveraging this virtual space to kind of broaden that that customer base of yours.
Sure. So right now I have, including myself, I believe it's 9
Hmm.
people on
Hmm.
staff. In
Hmm.
terms of the ages of the students, generally we are open to all ages. We even
Hmm.
do adults as well, college students and adults. In terms of who we have right now, what I noticed, because it's virtual now, it tends to be older students. So
Okay.
I would say middle school and high school, I tend to
Hmm.
see more of.
Hmm. Hmm.
Now, there's the few elementary, but definitely more middle school and high school. Even
Yes.
more high school than middle school, but like the older the older students is more of what I see, but we're still open to all. And in terms of the number of students on a high day, I would say maybe like 5 or 6. So
Okay.
we're on the low end there, but about 5 or 6 on a good day. And
Hmm.
I think the beauty of I don't want to say the beauty of COVID, but the the beauty of
Silver lining.
the silver lining is that it allowed me to partner with a couple other nonprofits
Good, good.
and to offer my services through their students.
Hmm.
And those for those students, it's free for them. So um, one of the agencies that I interned for in college, I'm still in touch with the two owners. I'm in
Hmm.
touch with them on Facebook, and one of them just so was just so happened to say like, "Hey, I need tutoring. Is anyone available?" And I was
Right.
like, "Hey, what's up? I'm available. I just so happen to have a tutoring company. Let's
Yeah.
connect." And
Yeah.
so definitely Facebook has brought us together a lot more.
Awesome.
But It's I tend to, and even with those partnerships, it tends to, well, that one partnership is 16 to 24-year-olds. So,
Okay.
um, so I'm seeing a lot more older students,
Right.
like maybe like sixth grade and up,
Yeah. Yeah.
and not a lot of younger students, but we're figuring that out. But I
Good.
guess because the older you are, the more understanding you have of how technology works. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that's kind of the pattern that I'm seeing now.
Yeah.
But
You
so
guys are moving right along.
yeah, we're moving.
Man, I
We're
mean,
moving, yeah.
yeah, yeah. I mean, and I know you still have some challenges like all other businesses do in the current, state of the country, state of the world with, with the pandemic. Looks like there may be a light at the end of the tunnel with the vaccinations coming out and getting rolled out everywhere. But you've surged forward and
I did.
found a way to make it happen, found a way to make it work. Again, all in the spirit of helping others who are struggling, helping uplift others who need that education, who needs that learning, right? And
Yeah.
and that is the essence and message and mission behind the Road to Rediscovery. So I want to thank you once again, Gabrielle, for that. Really appreciate your business and the services you provide.
You're welcome. And sorry, you asked me before about geographic
Yes,
location.
yes.
So right now, our clients were all in New York City
Mm-hmm,
and Long Island, which is
mm-hmm.
uh, we're based in New York City because of COVID. Well, a lot of the Facebook groups I'm in, it's still mainly New York City and Long Island that we happen to
Yeah.
find. But I managed to get like a couple of clients out of state, which is pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely I'm looking to expand at least outside of New York City,
Right.
and into upstate New York and into other states and even internationally. So because of I think because of this virtual world that we're living in now, it allows me to reach out beyond our little city bubble and,
Oh yeah, yeah.
and definitely reach out to other states and even other countries. So
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
that is cool. I mean, you can scale, right?
Yes.
And yeah, so that's the potential and the opportunities are tremendous. They truly are. So, how can people learn more about you, Gabrielle, or learn more about a step ahead tutoring services?
All right. Well, they can visit our website,
Okay,
www.astepaheadtutoringservices.com.
nice.
They can call us
Hmm.
347-762-2838. They can
Awesome.
find us on Facebook. Our name is A Step Ahead Tutoring Services, all one word. The same Instagram, A Step Ahead Tutoring Services.
Hmm.
Twitter is Tutor, ASATS.
Hmm.
And for our international clients or anywhere really, we're also on WhatsApp. WhatsApp number you will find on our Facebook page, which is the name again is
Hmm.
A Step Ahead Tutoring Services.
A Step Ahead Tutoring Services.
Yes, all one.
Fantastic.
Yes.
We will make sure that the direct link to the website, as well as the social media handles, are on the episode show notes so that people can click those to go to either your handle and connect with you via the social mediums or go to your website as they're listening to this episode. So we'll definitely make sure and include those on the episode show notes, Gabrielle. So hey, this has been a great conversation. I've really appreciate your insight. I appreciate just the transparency you shared with us, on what some of your problems were and some of the challenges that you've had, and just the fact that you had to take that look in the mirror at yourself and say, hey, I need to adapt, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. And for a lot of people, that's a hard look to take because they think all this time they've been doing it right. Well, we can't control what hits us like a pandemic. So, we have to be flexible to adapt like you just did. All
absolutely.
right.
Absolutely.
Oh, for sure, for sure. Well, okay, Gabrielle, this is now a time where I pivot myself to a segment I like to call Three for the Road. Okay. In Three for the Road, I ask my guests three random yet thought provoking questions that I challenge them to answer in 5 words or less. So, what do you
Ooh,
think? You think you'll be up for it?
I think so.
All right, fantastic. And by the way, these are not like cookie cutter questions. Okay, I don't ask the same questions to every guest. I customize the questions based on their background and profession. Okay,
All right.
all right.
Interesting.
So here we go. Three for the road. Question number one. Quite easy, actually. What is one piece of advice you would have for young learners struggling with a given subject?
Don't give up. I gotta think about that one. Hmm. What
I'll even
advice?
spot you two more. If you want to do seven, just to get the point across, I'll let it
Let
slide, no
me
doubt.
see. Let me. Hold on. I wanna meet the challenge. Let's
Okay.
see. Hmm. Look for
Hmm.
alternate ways to answer.
Okay. Look for alternate ways to answer. I'm digging that. I'm digging that. All right, Gabrielle, number two. You're on a deserted island with 5 students that you must teach. Name 3 tools that you need to get the job done.
Hmm. Pencil, paper. We're on an island. Is there Wi-Fi on the island? Um, pencil, paper, and calculator.
Okay. Pencil, paper, and calculator. And those would be the instruments or the tools. And I would imagine um, the lessons would come from up here for you, right?
Yes, yes.
Uh, it makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense. All right, Gabrielle, question number 3 to top us off for Three for the Road. This one's easy for you. Okay. I'm going to kind of underhand pitch this to you.
Okay.
Fill in the blank. Fill in the blank. A level playing field for education means
Equal opportunity for all.
equal opportunity for all. 4 words and one to spare. You did it. You knocked it out of the park, Gabrielle. Oh man, that's Three for the Road. Thank you so much, Gabrielle. Really appreciate you playing Three for the Road, and I appreciate you being on the show.
Thank you for having me. This was fun.
Oh no, absolutely. Likewise, I thought it was fun too, and we're gonna have to stay in touch. I'd love to have you back on the show, so you can share any follow ups of any new areas that you may have gone into, maybe some months down the line. Maybe go international. Who knows,
Who
right?
knows? Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. All right. And I want to thank all of you for tuning in and listening. And as a quick reminder, if you want the heads up VIP notifications of upcoming guests on upcoming episodes before the episodes are released and before anyone else knows, all you have to do is sign up for the email mailing list at roadtorediscovery.com. That's road, the number 2, rediscovery.com. The Road to Rediscovery, it's a movement, a revolution. And guess what? You are now part of it. We're all roadies on this journey of life, and it sure feels good having you on the journey with me. Thanks again for listening. We'll chat again soon.
The Road to Rediscovery is an AJ Shark production